Almost 50,000 Cubans from the Miami area in Florida are facing deportation.
Cubans and Cuban-Americans for Kamala 2024. Please get out and register to vote.
Yo, the Cubans are sweating bullets right now in Miami, man, because Marco Rubio, man, and the Trump administration are not playing with them no more, man. Thousands of them are being investigated, man, for political asylum fraud.
Maria Salazar, a Republican congresswoman who openly supported Trump, is now asking him to not deport Haitians, Cubans, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans.
So we are going to be looking at the Cuban-American community today, where people are coming out to express regret for the decision they made in the last elections and how this is having a big negative impact on them. So guys, welcome to today's video. If you're new to this space, kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and without wasting much of your time, let's dive right into the video.
Almost 50,000 Cubans from the Miami area in Florida are facing deportations. That's because thousands of those Cubans filed for political asylum and were granted political asylum, except they went back and visited their homeland of Cuba. Well, the big deal is that when you file for political asylum, you're declaring that your life is in danger in your home country. And by these Cubans going back to Cuba to visit, that means that the entire process of the political asylum was fraud. The application asked for political asylum seekers to give detail of why they can't go back to their country, why their lives are in danger in their homeland. And Cubans gave those statements that their life was in danger if they ever went back to Cuba. So going back to visit Cuba after you've been granted political asylum indicates that these Cubans have been granted political asylum based on false information. Now, it's no secret, Cubans played a huge role on the re-election of Donald Trump. And a lot of them feel let down by this administration because now they're being sent back home. So I'm going to ask all the Latino community, and I will do the same, to please hold a moment of silence for the thousands of Cubans who now are going to be forced to go back to the island. So anyway,
speaking objectively here, I would say this is actually their fault, in the sense that how do you apply for asylum and at the end of the day you're going back to your country? I've never heard that happening before. If you're seeking for political asylum, you have to remain in that country until everything is settled and you can now say you want to go visit wherever you're coming from. So you cannot be saying you're running away from problems in your country or from a particular place and you go apply for asylum in a particular country. After getting that asylum you're looking for, that you're seeking, then you're going back to your country. That is wrong and it is fraud in all sense.
Cubans and Cuban-Americans for Kamala 2024. Please get out and register to vote. In the state of Florida, if you are in Florida, you must register to vote 29 days before election day. 29 days before election day. Please go out and make sure that you are registered to vote. We do not want another dictatorship here in the United States. Our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our families had enough. In Cuba, we've had enough. Do not repeat the same mistakes. Go and expand your horizons, expand your mind, expand your education, and just know that most of your political programming, most of the programming that you have is from your parents, from the patriarchy, from your grandparents. Educate yourselves on the policies and issues in our country here in the United States. Break yourselves free from that misogyny that exists, that lives and is prevalent in the Cuban community, especially the one in Miami. Break free, break the chains, young Cubans, young Cuban-Americans. You have the power this year in November to break free, break those chains. Please educate yourself on what this election year can cost us. Cubans for Kamala 2024.
It's so sad to say that even before the election, these guys were summoned, these guys were pleaded with. They were made to understand that this is why you shouldn't go for this particular candidate, but they never listened. So now, even with the asylum fraud that they've committed, of course, you do not expect this current administration to forgive them. Probably if it was the other administration that was there, they might probably overlook those things for them. But with the current administration, you know the person that was coming into office, and you pack your things and you went back home to visit. And now you want to come back and you expect that they are going to let you in.
Yo, the Cubans are sweating bullets right now in Miami, man, because Marco Rubio, man, and the Trump administration are not playing with them no more, man. Thousands of them are being investigated, man, for political asylum fraud. Because a bunch of those dummies, bro, came over here talking about, the ghost of Castro haunts me till today. The ghost of Castro trying to get me. I fear for my life. All right, come on board, man. They brought them over here. They got the paperwork right, man. They got food stamps, bro. They got cash assistance. They got Medicaid, bro. You know what these dummies turn around and do? As soon as they got the paperwork right, they start traveling back to Cuba, bro. Marco Rubio said no more, and they're all getting investigated now. And they are sweating bullets, bro. And they can potentially face deportation for lying on their application. That plot twist, bro. They were talking so much smack about get these immigrants out of here, man. You gotta come here the right way, man. Those Trump supporters, bro. You know they all voted for Trump, bro. You know they all voted for Trump, man. But that'll be hilarious, man. If all of those dudes, man, get investigated and they all get shipped back to Cuba. After talking all that smack of the people that come over the border in Mexico. That's gonna be hilarious.
No, it's not funny. It's really not funny. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just very ironic and crazy how can I say this? Throughout the election, I saw so many Cubans, Venezuelan, a bunch of Latinos saying with their whole chest, not voting for Kamala. There was this guy even that he was getting harassed by his neighbor that didn't even want him around, but he carried his Trump flag, proud to vote for Trump. But I just wanted to come out here and let them know and ask if they have seen Trump's plan. Have they seen who Trump have elected to run the immigration and his plan for the mass deportation? He has elected the two most anti-immigrant that he could possibly find. And did you see that he has announced that he's going to cancel the CBP 1 and the humanitarian parole? Do you know who that affects? Do you know who that affects? Do you know where he's planning on sending you coming January? He actually even warned you guys to pack your bag and save him the time and save you for humiliation. I don't know if you guys are following everything that's happening. I mean, I would hope you'll be following because that affects you directly. But what bothers me is the fact that you truly did not believe that Trump would carry his plan. You did not. And that blows my mind. It makes absolutely no sense for you guys to sit and say, afraid of socialist dictator, and you turned around and voted for one. Anyway, good morning.
I'll keep saying this. After all that happened in the first administration of DT, people should have learned their lessons. We even have the series there on Netflix. If you've forgotten about what happened, you can always go back to Netflix and watch those documentaries. They are there. So it's so interesting. It's so amazing to see that people forgot all these things and still made this decision in the last election. And now they are being affected. And this particular community had a very great impact in the win. So now this whole thing is happening to them. They are now going to be facing mass deportation, and with that they even committed fraud with the whole thing. That is what you get when you make the wrong choices.
Cuban Americans may not be the only nationality of Hispanics that voted for Trump. We know that. But we are the most equipped. We are the ones with the most privilege right now to be able to talk about these things. We are the ones that should have been talking about this before. It's comments like those from our own community. Oh, not all of us. Yeah, not all of us, but enough of us, enough Cuban Americans voted for him. Those of us in the community that are complacent and not speaking up enough to our family members and our loved ones, those of us who do understand that we're voting against our own best interests when we vote Republican, are not speaking enough. Those of us not speaking enough is part of the problem.
Maria Salazar, a Republican congresswoman who openly supported Trump, is now asking him to not deport Haitians, Cubans, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, however, Trump signed an executive order which killed the process for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. This process allowed individuals from those respective four countries, Haiti, Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, to come into the United States and work legally should they have a US-backed sponsor and pass a background check. Now, Maria is trying to protect the Cubans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, and Haitians that she actively voted against by asking Trump to please not deport them. Guess she didn't think that the leopards would eat her face this quick.
Why do Cubans vote Republican? Well, I get asked this question a lot every time I make a post explaining the Republican Party and what anti-immigration laws that they pass, and comes up with the comments, well, the Cubans are the one that votes for the Republican Party. Why do they do that? Allow me to explain. Now, I'm not speaking for every Cuban, but I am explaining why a lot of Cuban Americans do vote Republican. And this primarily has to do with the fact that the Republican Party aligns themselves more with anti-communism than the Democratic Party. And since Cuba is a communist country and the Cubans that come to America are anti-communism, they align themselves politically more with the Republican Party than the Democratic Party. That's reason number one. And number two is that the Republican Party courts the Cuban American Party more than the Democratic Party. This is something historically they have had more impact in the community. They have made more efforts in communication, and the Cuban American Party has really aligned themselves and appreciated the efforts that the Republican Party has made towards them more so than the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is also more open in communications with the Cuban government than the Republican Party is, because they take a stronger position against the Cuban regime. And this is something that is appreciated more with Cuban Americans towards the Republican Party. Even though it was a Democratic president, Lyndon B. Johnson, that gave Cubans the immigration benefit that they have now, the Cuban Adjustment Act, they still align themselves and have more of a relationship with the Republican Party than the Democratic Party.
That was a very insightful one there, and it's so ironical to see that the benefit that they enjoy today was even given to them by a Democratic Party president, and yet they still go against their interests, they still vote against their interests and expect not to be affected. When you know the situation of things, that you have a lot of people from your community that do not have what it takes for them to remain in this country legally, and for those that are able to seek asylum and all that, and yet you still went against your interest. There's no way you're going to go against your interest and you don't get repercussions for that. So it's such a sad one, and I just hope they're able to get through this. I just hope everyone have learned their lessons. They effed around and now they are finding out the hard way, but it's too late. We have to deal with this in the next 4 years, and everybody's going to be fine all the same. So guys, thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to the channel. If you've watched up to this point, then it means you found this video interesting. Subscribe, like the video, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we are going to see you in the next one. Bye bye.